All right, so get ready, because today we are diving deep into Trump, the art of the deal.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to unpack all the stories and the tactics.
The Trumpisms.
The Trumpisms, and really trying to figure out how this guy became such a legendary deal maker.
You know, it's interesting because this book really is kind of a masterclass in understanding how Trump thinks.
Right.
It's not even just about deal making.
Yeah.
It's about his personality, his drive, and his belief in his own instincts.
Yeah, and he doesn't waste any time. He comes right out and says, being a great deal maker, it's an instinct.
He does.
You either have it,
You're born with it.
you're born with it,
Oh, you're not.
or you're not.
Yeah.
And he even compares it to, some people are born athletes.
Right.
Some people are born negotiators.
Right. And that ties into that whole think big philosophy.
Yes.
Like he says, people are so afraid of success.
Right.
And if you're going to be thinking anyway, why not think big?
Why not think big?
Aim for the stars.
He even compares it to those undiscovered athletes.
Right.
Who might have the natural talent, but they just don't have the courage
To get out there.
to get out there on the field. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But what I found really interesting was how he structures his day.
Oh, yeah.
No briefcases, very few scheduled meetings.
Right. It's all about being in the action.
It's all about phone calls and, like jumping on an opportunity as it comes up.
Yeah. Constant action.
Constant action, yeah.
But I wonder how sustainable that is, in the long run.
Right.
Go ahead.
Especially with the kinds of projects he's taking on.
Exactly.
But he does talk about having a really tight-knit team.
Yeah, his family.
Family.
His sister's a judge.
Right.
His brothers.
Uses them for advice.
All the time.
And then there's that story about the widow who's about to lose her farm.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And Trump hears about it and he steps in.
Classic Trump.
And he uses some pretty, let's just say, creative tactics to get the bank to back down.
Well, he's not afraid to use his public image, is he?
No, he is not.
To get what he wants.
It's leverage.
Yeah.
And he kind of positions himself as this champion of the underdog.
Absolutely.
Which is really smart.
Very smart.
Yeah, but he also says he actually tries to avoid lawsuits whenever possible.
Really?
Yeah, he sees them as a last resort,
Yeah.
only when you've been really wronged.
Interesting.
So he wants to be seen as a tough negotiator,
Right.
but also somebody who's fighting for what's right.
There's that morality again.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
He talks about this idea of protecting the downside.
Protecting the downside.
Yeah, so instead of just going all in
Right.
and hoping for the best, he's always thinking about, okay, how do I minimize my risk?
Oh, I see.
Even if it means making a little less profit.
Interesting.
He compares it to owning the slot machine
Oh, instead of gambling on it.
instead of gambling on it, exactly.
I like that.
So you're not just playing the odds, you're
Right.
controlling the game.
You're in control.
And that's a really important point.
Yes.
Because despite his reputation as this big risk taker,
Huh.
he really stresses protecting your investment.
Mm.
He even tells the story about almost investing in oil.
Oh, really?
And he backed out at the last minute,
Why?
gut feeling.
Wow.
And it turns out oil prices crashed soon after.
Oh, he was right?
He was right.
Wow.
So trust in your gut is a big theme for him.
Yeah.
He even says he'd rather talk to cab drivers and locals to understand the market.
Well, instead of like expensive consultants?
Yeah, he wants that firsthand feel,
That's interesting.
which I thought was pretty cool.
It is.
And speaking of doing things his own way, he always stresses having options,
Oh, backup plans.
backup plans.
Never put all your eggs in one basket.
Never get too attached to one deal.
Right.
He even compares it to his approach to dating.
But that's funny.
It is funny, but it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
You always got to have options.
Keep your options open.
That reminds me of the story about Atlantic City.
Oh, yeah, the casinos.
He was really cautious about getting that gaming license
Before he started building
before
it.
he even started building it. Yeah, it's smart. Now, Barron Hilton, he did the opposite.
Oh, he built first.
Built first and then got denied a license.
Ouch.
So Trump swoops in, buys the property,
Classic.
turns it into Trump's castle.
Wow.
It's that protect the downside philosophy.
In action.
In action, yeah.
That's a great example.
Well, let's talk about his approach to promotion and the media.
Oh, this should be good.
This guy believes in generating buzz, getting people excited,
He loves the spotlight.
even if it means being a little controversial.
Uh-huh.
He tells this story about a painter friend
Okay.
who basically just splattered paint on a canvas, sold it for a fortune by framing it as art.
So it's all about the story.
It's all about the story.
The perception.
The perception, yeah.
Interesting.
And he's a master at that.
Oh, yeah.
Creating that aura of success and exclusivity.
Right.
And he knows how to use the press.
Oh, he's a master manipulator.
Yeah. He understands that being bold, being outrageous gets people talking.
And for him, any publicity is good publicity.
Exactly.
As long as they're spelling your name right.
There you go.
Right.
He even tells this crazy story about leaking details of the Bonwit-Teller deal to the New York Times.
What? To put pressure on Genesco?
To pressure Genesco to sell.
Wow, that's risky.
It is risky.
But it worked. That's amazing.
It's like he's playing chess with the media.
He's always a few steps ahead.
Always a few steps ahead.
It seems like he just sees opportunity where other people see roadblocks.
Yes.
Like the 1970s, the economic downturn in New York.
Yeah, everyone else was running scared.
He saw a chance to buy up all these undervalued properties.
Exactly.
It's that think big mindset.
Think big.
He's not just looking for a quick buck.
Right. He's thinking long term.
Reshaping the city.
Leaving his mark.
And that led him to the Commodore Hotel deal.
The Commodore.
This was huge for him.
It was.
He wanted to transform this fading landmark into the luxury Grand Hyatt.
And he needed the city's help to make it happen.
So he offered them a deal?
A deal they couldn't refuse.
Tax breaks in exchange for jobs.
Jobs and revitalizing a neighborhood.
Brilliant.
It was a win-win.
Absolutely.
And it proved he could handle these big, complex projects.
Navigate the political landscape.
Get things done.
Yeah.
He even talks about his dad's reaction to his vision for the Grand Hyatt.
Oh, what did Fred think about all this?
Well, he wanted to keep the old brick facade.
Oh, really?
You know, keep costs down.
Practical.
Yeah, but Trump wanted something modern and glamorous.
The glass.
The glass.
A statement. It's a totally different approach. Two different generations.
Two different generations.
Yeah.
And that brings us to Trump Tower.
Ah, the crown jewel.
Just acquiring the Bonwit-Teller site was a feat in itself.
Everyone told him it was impossible.
Impossible, but he was relentless.
Classic Trump.
And then he gets the air rights from Tiffany & Co.
The air rights.
Yeah, the space above their building. And then he negotiates this key parcel of land from the Candel family.
This is incredible.
It is. He was like piecing together this impossible puzzle.
Understanding everyone's motivations.
Playing the long game.
And he almost lost it all.
I know.
When Genesco tried to back out.
Right. But luckily, he had that letter of intent.
Ah, that saved him.
It did.
Get it in writing, folks.
Get it in writing.
Always.
But then the demolition of those Art Deco sculptures.
Oh, yeah, that caused a lot of controversy.
Huge public outcry.
It's that tension between development and preservation.
Right.
You know what's interesting, though?
Like that.
He actually admits in the book that he regrets having them destroyed.
He does.
Yeah, looking back, he wishes he had handled it differently.
It's like he learned a lesson about public perception.
Mm-hmm. The symbolic value of things.
And then there were the zoning regulations.
Oh, yeah, he wanted to build much higher than zoning allowed.
Right, so he threatened to build this like totally basic as of right building.
Like an eyesore.
Yeah, basically.
Putting pressure on the city.
And it worked.
Did he get the zoning he wanted?
He got zoning bonuses by incorporating public amenities.
Ah, so he gave them something in return.
Exactly, a through-block arcade and a public park.
So
he knew how to play the game.
He did.
And then there's Ada Louise Huxtable,
the architecture critic.
The New York Times.
She was tough.
He knew he had to win her over.
And he did.
He got a glowing review from her.
Which helped him get the zoning approval.
It's all about persuasion.
And leverage.
And that's how Trump Tower was born.
An icon.
A symbol of ambition, luxury.
And a whole lot of hustle.
A whole lot of hustle.
It's incredible how he pulled it all off.
It really is.
This chapter is like a blueprint for his success.
It really is. You see all the themes that play out in his later career.
Pushing boundaries.
Challenging the status quo.
Using every tool at his disposal.
And never giving up.
Never.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
There's so much more to uncover.
So much more. Stay tuned, because in the next part, we're going to go even deeper into the world of the art of the deal.
I can't wait. You know, it's easy to focus on the big deals and, you know,
the big wins.
Yeah, all the flashy stuff.
Right.
But the book also gives us a glimpse into his personal life.
It does.
His family.
Yeah.
His upbringing.
Like how he became Trump.
Exactly.
He talks a lot about his dad. Fred Trump.
Big influence.
Huge influence.
Yeah.
He learned the construction business from the ground up working with his dad.
Soaking it all in.
Soaking it all in.
Hard work efficiency.
Getting things done.
It's like that classic story of
the self-made man passing down the knowledge.
But it's interesting, though.
Why's that?
Because they had very different personalities.
They did.
And aspirations.
Yeah, Trump knew he didn't want to just follow in his dad's footsteps, you know?
Right. Building middle-income houses.
Yeah, he was drawn to Manhattan.
The glamour. High-profile projects.
He wanted to create something big.
Make his own mark.
Yeah, he even describes his dad's reaction when he told him he wanted to buy the Commodore Hotel.
What did he say?
He thought he was crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
It is kind of funny.
It shows the difference in their thinking.
Right.
Fred was all about those practical projects.
Yeah.
Solid.
Meeting a need.
Donald. He wanted something spectacular.
Something that would put him on the map.
Exactly.
And that drive pushed him to take risks.
Like the Bonwit Teller site.
When everybody told him it was a lost cause.
But he wouldn't take no for an answer.
He didn't.
He kept finding a way to make it happen.
It's pretty amazing.
It is.
You also get these little glimpses into his family life.
Oh, yeah.
Like his mother's love of all things glamorous and extravagant.
I can see where he gets it from.
Right. And then his sister,
The judge.
the federal judge,
Yeah.
who he often goes to for advice.
Legal advice.
Legal advice.
Yeah.
And then there's that complicated relationship with his brother Freddie.
Yeah, he wasn't really cut out for the family business.
Yeah, he wasn't.
It's sad.
It is. He talks about Freddie's struggles.
Yeah. And he even admits to some regrets about how he treated him.
It's a moment of vulnerability.
It is.
Makes him seem more human.
Yeah, we all have our family stuff.
Right.
Even the most successful people.
Speaking of early experiences, he talks about one of his first big projects, Swifton Village.
Swifton Village.
In Cincinnati.
Okay.
It was a huge apartment complex that he and his father bought.
So this was his first taste of managing a large property.
It was. He had to learn about tenant relations.
Dealing with different personalities.
Dealing with all sorts of challenges.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty of the business.
And he tells this great story about Irving, his property manager.
What was he like?
Well, let's just say colorful,
Okay.
but very effective.
Effective at what?
Getting people to pay their rent.
Oh, so he wasn't afraid to get tough.
No.
I guess you have to be sometimes.
Right.
In that business.
It's not all glamour.
No.
You know what's interesting? He also shows this surprising amount of social awareness.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he talks about learning to read the signs of a neighborhood in decline.
Okay.
And he even relied on insights from local residents.
So he was paying attention to the community.
He was.
Interesting.
He even mentions this Holocaust survivor.
Wow.
Who advised him to sell Swifton Village.
Before things got worse.
Before things got worse, yeah.
It's a different side of Trump
It is.
than what we usually hear about.
Right?
He's not just thinking about profits,
He's thinking about the people.
the impact on the community.
And then he makes the decision to leave the family business.
Oh, wow.
And strike out on his own in Manhattan.
That's a big step.
It was.
Leaving the nest.
He was drawn to the energy of the city.
The opportunity.
And he knew if he wanted to make his own mark, he had to get out of his father's shadow.
That makes sense.
So he arrives in Manhattan.
A whole new world.
He rents a studio apartment on the Upper East Side.
Okay.
Joins this exclusive club. The club. Starts navigating the social scene.
Meeting the movers and shakers.
It's like he's figuring out this new landscape.
Learning the rules of the game.
He even shares some funny stories about dating in that world.
Oh, I bet.
Talking about women who were more interested in the size of his apartment
Then in him.
than in him. Yeah.
Ouch.
It's a reminder that success doesn't always equal happiness
Right.
in your personal life.
You got to have those genuine connections.
And then he starts having these early encounters with the press.
Ah, here we go.
And he figures out how to use that attention to his advantage.
The beginning of his PR mastery.
He knows how to create a buzz.
Perception is reality.
He's not afraid of a little controversy.
Keeps people talking.
And he's very open about his relationship with Roy Cohn.
Roy Cohn, the lawyer.
The lawyer.
He was infamous, aggressive,
powerful connection.
Yeah, he becomes a key mentor for Trump.
Teaches him the art of hardball negotiation.
The importance of relationships.
It's a controversial association.
It is.
But Cohn definitely had an impact on Trump's approach.
For sure.
It's a reminder that sometimes you have to make tough choices.
Navigate some gray areas.
To get ahead.
As the 70s go on, Trump starts to see the opportunities in the city's economic downturn.
Yeah, while everyone else is pulling back.
He's ready to jump in.
That think big philosophy.
He's turning a crisis into an opportunity.
And that leads him to his first major project in Manhattan,
The Grand Hyatt.
the transformation of the Commodore Hotel.
This was a huge deal.
It was
Negotiation partnership.
political maneuvering,
He got a massive tax break from the city.
partnered with Hyatt,
Wow.
overcame all these obstacles
It really solidified his reputation,
as someone who could deliver.
even in a tough market.
He even talks about struggling to get financing at first.
The banks weren't so sure,
They were hesitant.
but he convinced them.
He sold them his vision.
He's very persuasive.
Yeah.
And then there was the controversy over the facade.
Oh, yeah. Some people criticized him for wanting to replace the brick with glass.
They thought it was a betrayal of the building's history,
But Trump was looking to the future.
modernity.
Luxury.
He wanted to attract a new generation,
And that brings us to Trump Tower.
the one that made him famous.
A defining moment.
He became a visionary
A master negotiator.
and a shrewd businessman.
Acquiring the Bonwit Teller site was just the beginning.
It was a long and complicated journey,
Legal battles,
zoning challenges,
public scrutiny.
and a lot of Trump's showmanship.
And that's where we'll pick up in the next part.
I can't wait.
Okay, so we left off with Trump securing that Bonwit Teller site,
Right, and ready to build Trump Tower.
facing a whole new set of challenges.
Huge pressure.
I can't even imagine.
Building something like that
In the heart of Manhattan.
with everyone watching.
He talks about the marketing,
Oh yeah,
the genius behind Trump Tower,
it's not just a building,
the brand,
an image,
exclusivity aspirations.
attracting a certain kind of buyer,
He understood that power
associating his name,
with success and luxury.
and he wasn't afraid to,
Embellish a little.
a little bit.
Like those rumors about Prince Charles and Princess Diana.
Oh yeah, looking at an apartment in Trump Tower,
It created so much buzz.
even though it wasn't true.
It's brilliant marketing.
It is.
He knew how to generate that excitement.
People talking.
And he didn't back down from a fight.
No, he didn't.
Remember that battle over the property taxes?
Oh yeah, he fought the city for years
Years.
on that one,
People told him to give up.
but he wouldn't.
He
He
wouldn't.
was determined to win.
It wasn't even about the money.
It was a principle,
Standing up for what he believed in.
taking on the establishment.
And he won.
He did.
Which just reinforced that image.
A fight
Somebody who wouldn't
Yeah.
quit.
Yeah.
Trump Tower became the symbol
of his tenacity.
and ambition.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
What's the,
He emphasizes walking the walk,
not just talking the talk,
right? Like he criticizes those developers who try to imitate Trump Tower.
but they cheap out on the details.
They cut corners.
Exactly.
It's all about quality.
Creating something exceptional.
Paying attention to those details.
He even talks about calling contractors personally.
Really?
Yeah, to dispute like minor overcharges.
Wow, he's hands-on,
He is.
involved in every aspect.
And if anyone tries to take advantage of him,
Wacko.
he's not afraid to fight back.
He's not going to let it slide.
He believes in confronting people.
Head on.
He doesn't back down.
As part of his strategy.
Projecting strength.
So nobody messes with him.
Exactly.
His personality played a huge role in his success.
It did that self-belief.
That willingness to fight.
He's bold, brash, ambitious.
And he uses it all to his advantage.
He's a master of self-promotion
Creating that persona.
that people can't ignore.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the art of the deal,
What have we learned?
I think we've seen how Trump combines those business instincts
Right.
with an understanding of how people think.
And the power of perception,
He's a risk taker,
but also calculated, always looking for an advantage.
and he's not afraid to use his personality
A controversy.
to get what he wants
It's a fascinating look at a man who built an empire,
on his own terms,
defied expectations.
reshaped New York City,
Whether you admire him,
or question his methods.
there's no denying he's a force to be reckoned with.
And the art of the deal gives us this incredible insight,
Into his mind
his strategies.
and the secrets to his success.
We've covered a lot today.
We have from his early days to those high stakes deals.
But I want to leave you with one final question.
Okay.
How much of Trump's success
Yeah.
is due to his business skills?
And how many
Is his personality?
and that ability to control the narrative
Something to think about.
as you explore the world of Donald Trump.
And the impact he's had.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.